Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always, huge massive thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. So coming back for the last time with this Christmas Cuties card topper pad, move on to the other one afterwards. And I'm going to be playing with this beautiful robin. I think I've popped one out somewhere. Yeah, so this is going to be for the first card. Now the first card is going to be quite a quick and simple one. So I'm going with a 6x6 tent fold. I've just taken a piece of that 6x12 300 GSM white cardstock, and I've just folded that in half, scored it with the scoreboard. Then if I bring in the trimmer, and I'm just going to take 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off of 2 of the sides, just to give me that really fine white border all the way around that I do love. So that's going to go onto the front of there, like so. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of, this is from the designer card pack. I think it's called Deck the Halls. I did check, it is still in stock. And I'm just going to cut this down to 5 3/4. And I picked this one because I wanted this sort of woody theme, but it's also got the greens in, which I've also got on my robin there. Okay, so let's just pop those to the side and bring a piece of vellum in. And what I'm going to do is just, what I want to do is just make a little tear. If you've got the tearing rulers, this is going to be perfect for that. But what I want to do is just make a rough edge. I don't mind if it's proper straight, as long as we've got that fluffiness to it. And I want this to be about 2 inches. So if I pop this onto my mat, put my ruler down on the 2 inches, I know I'm going to get that sort of size. Doesn't matter if it's latte, it is, I am going for a sort of rusty look. And on this occasion I'm tearing towards me, but you do get different tears on how, depending on how you tear it. But that's what I've gone with, because I want a little bit of a white fluffy edge on my card here. And then what I'm going to do is take my tacky glue, got an insert here I've been using, and I'm going to bring in my Deco Art Glamour Dust. You could use any glitter you have. And what I'm going to do, just pick the best side, and I'm just going to go along the edge. Actually, I don't need to go all the way along, because what are we at? We are at 8 inches. So really I only need to do this middle section. And again, just going for that rustic look. You could dab some glue on your fingers if you are, you know, obviously if you don't have any reactions to it. So it doesn't matter if it's gloopy either, because that's just going to add to it. Like I say, I'm just leaving about that last inch, because that's going to be behind my card. And then I'm just going to sprinkle my glitter all the way along. You can do both sides. I will put some on there. And then give it a little bit of a tap. Make sure I'm happy with it. If there's anything that I think just needs a little more, like I say, you could be using your sponges, anything like that, just to put that fine edge on. And then I'm just going to make sure I've got about 6 inches of that, because I want that to go over the edge of my card. There we go. Now you could come in and, I'm just going to pop that up there to dry while we're doing the next bits. You could pop that through an embossing folder. There is a beautiful embossing folder that came free with one of the magazines. last year that I love, the text one. I'm not using it because it's not available anymore, but if you did manage to get hold of it, embossing that first before you tear it. You could use a snowflake embossing folder, dots, anything like that. So let's just move that out of the way. I'm going to be covered in glitter for the rest of the day. Okay, so what I can do now is I don't want to stick this onto my card straight away because I want to pop that vellum or parchment behind here to hide the workings, and also I don't have to worry about hiding my glue. So I'm just going to pop some of that Canal Tacky glue on the corners and the Canal All-Purpose glue and over adhesive. I don't apologise for it anymore. It's just who I am. We're just going to pop that on nice and straight. Like so. And then I'm going to take, I think I'm going to use red liner tape just to stick my parchment down. I mean, it's all going to be hidden behind the workings anyway, so I'm just going to take 2 little pieces, and then if I just carefully pop that over, line that up on my board, and then if I go 2 squares up and down, I know I'm going to be catching that where I want that to go. Now let's have a look, is that glued? Alright, what I'm going to do is just give that 5 minutes to glue and I will be back. Okay, so most of this has dried now at the bottom, just some of the thicker bits are still a little bit wet. What I'm going to do is just take those pieces off, stick those to my glass. And then I'm just carefully, I'm going to do this sort of by eye. And I'll fold that over there. Fold that over there. And I'll just give those creases a bit of a burnish down, and that just diffuses that wood look. It just adds a bit. The topper is quite big, so it is going to take quite a lot of room. Just going to take a little bit off that side, a little bit off that side, and you can see where the tape is. That's why it's a good idea to just plan and hide it. Now if I bring back in my tacky glue, I will pop a piece under there and a piece under there, which will stick that down. But the pressure on the card will keep that nice, and so I'll put the lids back on my glue while I was waiting, and I did give it 5 minutes, but I did stick it on top of my computer, which does kick out quite a lot of heat. On that side. Okay, now I did have the greener sides at the bottom is the way that I wanted this to be. So just being a little bit careful of those bits that are still a little bit wet. You'll be able to give that a bit more time. Maybe if you're doing more than one of these, you will be able to sort of batch make these up. Now what I did while it was gluing, or drying even, was just pop some 2mm foam pads on the back of the topper piece and of the frame, because I know for sure this is going to be going to the left. This is going to go onto the centre of there, and then if I just pop back to this pad, I got it from this one, and then we want some sentiment, so if I move that just over, I want that pretty much over to the left, and I'm going to go with Just For You, I think, down in this corner. We could add the red in. I might bring in, maybe they're a bit too romantic-y though. Maybe one of these. Yeah, we'll go with that one. So let's pop that one down. And what I'm going to do is just take the backers off this. And if you wanted to, you could slip a little bit of glue under the centre of that, where we know that top is going to be. In fact, I may well do that just so that it lays a little flatter. So I know in there it's going to be. So let's just pop a little blob of glue. You could use a glue dot if you wanted. Okay. It's just going to bring it down a little. I mean, this topper is covering most of the card anyway, so you don't need to do that. But if you want to, you can. Now, is there a right or a wrong way? There isn't. Let's pop you to that left hand side. So just using up bits of foam pads again, still in tidy mode a bit. This weekend is not going to be a tidying time. I'm going to be doing the old tree kens, as they're calling it, putting the tree up at the weekend. That's a job that's got to be done. So this one I want to come over, and this one I want to go under. I think. I think I'm going to do this one flat, just a little bit of all-purpose. And I'm just going to slip that under like so. So he's poking out. I don't mind that that's coming out from there. And then this one, I'm just going to pop this onto there. And we're going to have that coming over the side. So now we need some gems. Let me just give that a little bit of a flex. And I think I could go with some red. I think the gold is going to stand out better. So let's go through. I'm going to do a little spray. No, I don't want those ones. They're too shiny. I need a sort of slightly duller one. Yeah. I've got more variation in size on these. So I'm kind of thinking maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to pop one down there. So although I've got 5, so I've still got an odd amount, but also with these toppers there's 7, so that sort of satisfies my need for odd numbers with these. These sort of gems and things and toppers. I do like that. And we'll pop this one there. Okay. So, and that's what I'm going to call my finished card. So that's card number 1. A little tent fold. We'll make sure we've done it the right way. For an insert, you can use the trimmy pads, or you might be able to, you might have a bit of the insert left over from any of the other insert packs you've got for Christmas. Failing that, you could go on to the Hunkydory Hub, their Christmas magazine, around about June or July time. There was a Christmas kit in that. I think it was the Timeless Poinsettias. There's probably going to be an insert you can download that will kind of fit in with the theme. With it not having a specific theme, this is what I find the hardest actually. I like I like Hunkydory to say this is what goes with what, and then I find it easier to create. But it's been fun going through all of my stash to find bits. I mean, I never would have thought to use this sort of wooden, because it's got all the boughs and the greenery at the top, but to take that away and add that into that, it's quite a nice adult Christmas card, even though that Robin's got his little hat on. But that's me chatting away. Let me get that out of the way and we'll get set up for card number 2. Okay, so for card number 2, I was sort of like, because I spend so much time getting bits and pieces together, I was sort of struggling for ideas, and I thought I'd go back to this layout library. And I've done this layout before and absolutely loved it. So I'm going to be going with this nesting circles one, because obviously we've got these circular toppers. So I'm going to be using that one. I'll keep that to the side there just to remind me. And I'm going to bring in a 5x7 Ink Me card blank. This I have to make, I think it's 5 or 6, she said. My sister wants some money wallets or a card with something to help her put some money in for the grandchildren. Not her grandchildren, well, they are her grandchildren because it's blended family. But her partner's children's children. So I'm starting with a 5x7 because she wants to give them, I think she said she wants to give them £20. So let's bring in, because it's 5x7, I'm going to have to bring in some A4 mirri. And I'm going to take this to 2 notches under 5 by 2 notches under 7. And I need to do that for the outside and for the inside. Okay, so 2 notches under 5 by 2 notches under 7. Those bits will go into my bit box. And then this piece here, I think it's about 2 inches. Yep, 2 inches. And I'm going to take that to 2 notches under 7. Okay, and we will come back to that piece in a minute. So, no, I need to leave that out. And then I'm going to take some red shimmer card. This is going to be the base. Now, I'm keeping it plain. Well, no, I'm not. I am going to do something with it, but I don't need an embossing folder, but you could use an embossing folder if you wanted to. So I'm taking that to 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. Obviously we keep these pieces because it's premium cardstock. So that's the front there, and then I'm going to take another piece of A4 gold mirri, and I want I'm going to take 2 notches over the one, so 1 inch plus 2 notches, and I'm going to do that twice. That's going to be my strips down the front of my card. Pop that one out of the way, and they need to be 6 3/4. They're going down the length of the card on this one, like so. Now those pieces I will pop in the bin. So again, 6 3/4. Now, raiding through my stash back in summertime, there was that timeless poinsettia that I was talking about earlier, and I did get the foiled cardstock, so as part of the members bundle, I think. So I'm just going to take this lovely holly, which kind of fits in with the same sort of theme on those toppers. They've got that toppy holly bough on it. I'm just going to take 1 inch, and then again that needs to be 5 3/4. So those are going to go onto there. Oh no, I've cut that too short. It needs to be 6 3/4. Okay, we'll pop that back in the pack. good job we didn't just have a little piece, but let's just cut another 1 inch piece. So 6 3/4. Please do. Don't do as I do. 6 3/4. Ooh, some blades come out. Let's put that back in. Line back up again. 6 3/4. Now I also need to take another piece of this, and initially I'm going to cut this at 2 inches. Now I will be taking some off this. I just find it easier to measure when I've got the thing the same size as what I have. So I'm going to cut this to 2 notches under 7. And this is going to be the same size, hopefully, as this piece we cut here. Okay. And that is that. Now, what I do want to do before I go and forget, let's pop those to the side. Oh, there's another thing I need to cut as well. Before I go and forget is to put my lines on. So what I'm going to do is just put this at an angle that I feel works for me. And I'm just going to go in, I think, every other line and put a pattern on this cardstock. You might want to just maybe do a portion of it. I'm going to do it all. I think if you get it wedged at an angle that you're happy with, it then will not move while you're embossing, or it shouldn't do. The hardest thing for me is finding the right line in my light. I do have 2 really bright lights just to give you the best viewing of, oops, that's moving, oh, don't you move, the best viewing of what I'm doing. Let's try and keep that still. There we go. We're going to end up with that lovely diagonal stripe. You could go in, turn it the other way, crisscross. I wanted kind of candy cane-esque vibes. So the other thing I needed to cut, let's bring this in, and I'm using an insert from one of the Blockbuster packs. I've chosen this one because it's got this kind of red holly pattern. Now I will have to just trim this with my guillotine because it's fluffy, but my guillotine doesn't go up to 7. And I'm just cutting this at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And then, just as you've seen me do many times before, just going to go in, take that fluff off. Like I say, I do need to invest in that big guillotine, I think. Let's just go a little bit more. There we go. We've got that nice neat edge. Okay, so those are the pieces for now. Now, before I do anything else, what I do want to do is just pop this piece onto my mat, and I'm just going to pop that down at the edge of my mat there, and at the 1 inch. Oh, does it need to be? It needs to be this side, because when I cut it, I want it to go into my card. Well, that doesn't really matter, does it? No, I prefer it that way. Okay, so I'm going to do the same on this one. We'll put it pattern side down, pop it onto my mat. And then at the 1 inch we'll mark. And then if I bring back in my trimmer, And what I'm going to do is pop the corner and that mark, and we're going to cut along, and then I'm going to do the same on this piece here, the corner, they're just a little more, and cut along. Okay, and then hopefully what I should have are two pieces are going the other way coincidentally. It doesn't matter because it's going that way in my card, but they're exactly the same. So now what I need to do is just make this one a little bit smaller. So I can just take 2 notches off of that side. I'll just keep checking it because I do worry, and I can see I've got a nice border there. And then if I take 2 notches off of the bottom, and that angle should be perfect, and it is. So that's how I'm going to get my piece that's going to go along there, and that's where the money is going to be popped into. So those now should be all of our pieces, and we can start to assemble. So let's pop that to the side. I think I will start with the inside. So we're just going to take our glues. Again, I'm using 2. Any of these glues would work great on these products, apart from the paper, which from the insert I wouldn't recommend the tacky glue unless you are able to distribute it really thinly. I mean, it depends on the paper, but this is pretty thin paper. It's probably about 120 or something like that. I'm going to pop that on. I use the dotty tape pen on the corners on this just because it's a dry adhesive. I'll pop that on. And then this piece here, I'm going to bring in my super fine red liner tape. I did use tacky glue on my other ones that I've done. I'll show you those at the end. I've done 3 already. No, this will be the 3rd one. What you want to do is get it quite close to the edge, because all this is going to do is stick this to the card without so that the money can go inside. So we just want bits on these edges like so. And I've done it with the tapered edge. If you were worried about doing that tapered edge, just do 2 inches and just have it as a piece like that. Okay, let's pop you across there. And I've picked this because it's the strongest, this tape. Okay. So now what we need to do, we can decide. Now I think I do want it on this side, and I am going to be covering up. It's going to be quite easy to place in that I'm just really covering that piece there. What I am going to do is just take, so I'm covered in these tape bits and glitter today, and I'm just going to take a little bit off there just to hopefully give us the best chance of getting this on nice and straight, because I will only get one shot at this. And then what I can do is line this up with the mat underneath. Where have you gone? Stuck back down. Oh no, so look. Yeah, so line it up with the mat underneath. And then when I'm happy, I can just take that piece off and that's going to be stuck down nice and secure for me. So that's our little piece there. We can pop our decorative piece on. We just move those out of the way. And we're just going to pop that across there. You could use the red if you wanted to, that would stand out even more, but I thought because I got the red tones there, I'd use that green. That's that. And like if I show you, we've got a piece of card here, a piece of paper. Yeah, we have here. So let me just tear that in half. It's just white, so that would fit quite nicely underneath there, and this can still be written on. Let's just make sure that's nice and straight. Okay, so that's the inside sorted. Well, let's move on to the pretty bit. These sort of card topper pads are perfect for using up your stash, although I have been getting out a lot of the stash that I had, and there was quite a few duo design pads that are no longer available from Hunkydory, so I do try not to use them, although I have been using the one from this year, which is still available from third-party suppliers, companies that I've bought from Hunkydory and that are selling. But there was a pile of them, and my sister's like, "Oh, you're throwing these out?" I'm like, "No, not throwing them out." She goes, "Oh, can I use some?" I'm like, "Okay." She goes, "Oh, I want to make some paper chains." So she took, I had this year's book was the Soft Snowfall, and a couple of years ago there was one, I think was Fancy Flakes Duo design pad. So she's taken that because she wants all pink. She is doing a pink themed Christmas in her room. She bought herself a nice pink Christmas tree. And what else did she buy? Oh, she bought a little dog that lights up, Angel, for the top. It's a bit like our George. Henry saw it last night and thought it was for him. And he was sat watching it through most of I'm a Celebrity because he wanted it. Bless him. Just like to kill a soft toy every now and then. Okay, so we've got our, going back to our layout, we've got our lines going down. I'm just going to replicate that now. Just because this card sample or this pattern, this layout is that way, it doesn't mean we have to keep it that way. We could always have gone long ways, the same as our previous card, but I thought because I was doing the border across that one long ways, I would keep it with this one. You could also vary that and have them, obviously if you chop them longer, you could have that going across like so, and just mix up the layout. It's just there to get your creative juices flowing, so to speak. Now these ones I am going to go flat because obviously I've already got a bit of heft in there because I've put all that cardstock on the inside, although I have got quite nice envelopes that are quite giving. So I know that these are 1 inch, I know this is 5-inch cards, so I'm aiming for around about that 1 inch, just to have that nice and even, deep and crisp and even. Same way I make my pizzas. But yeah, let's pop this on. Shouldn't say things like that on video because then I start being obsessing about pizza. Okay, so, which is not a bad thing to obsess about, but I haven't got any pizza in the house, so it would be a case of buying it, and that kind of gets expensive these days. So let's see, so on here we've got pretty much most of it plus a ruler. So let's just move that over a little. So it is going to be a bit close together in the middle. Yeah, I'm a bit happy with that. So those are my pieces. Oops, stay still. I'm just going to eyeball those, make sure I'm happy with them. Even though I've used that set square, I always do like to check it by eye, just in case either something's moved or sometimes the T-square, because these other layers may not be entirely straight. Sometimes it can set things off at a little bit of an angle. Right, let's find the one that I had taken one out of here. So we're going with our little owl this time. He's going to go onto there. And I think we'll go with Season's Tweetings across the bottom. I'm not putting any of those other ones on. I'm just going to keep that like so. Just make sure that those, I might have to put another little bit of glue under there, but we will see. Now there's no right or wrong way with this frame, is there? Oh, we've got little hollies at the top and the bottom, so I'll try and keep those at the top and the bottom. Let me pop that way round. And same with this one. Let's move you. And I'm just going to bring in some, have I got any that already chopped down? I have. And what I'm going to do is just put these pads where these green pieces are, so that everything is the same height. If I want to pop anything to support under here, what I might have to do is just pop it at 3mm because of the height of these bands. So I can just see all of these pips, and that just annoys me a little bit. So let's just neaten those up. There we go. I might have to pop some under there, so let's go up nice and high. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, just because it's kind of annoying me a little bit that that's a bit flappy, just going to put 2mm pad there. Just quickly take the back off and bring in a little bit of a 1mm pad. This is a Hunkydory one. I'll just pop that over the top, and then that should support that quite nicely. Let's try that now. There, you can see how that sits a bit better now. Okay, let's pop this one on before anything else occurs to me. So the other two card ones I've done, I have done on the landscape. This is portrait orientation, but the other two I've done are, like I say, landscape. I'll show you those at the end just so you can see what else we can be doing. And I think one of them was, well, both of them have been with this card topper pad, this particular one, so they will go up on Pinterest and things. Let's just tuck that under and bring that in, and I do want that nice and high. It goes edge to edge. Just make sure that is. And what we can do with this one is just pop maybe 3 along there. 3 along there. This one's been slightly longer because obviously we've been decorating the inside and the outside. And you could go with, if you didn't want to use any of your inserts from your Blockbuster, you could use, and you didn't want to print them out, you could use a Trim Me insert pad. You would just have to work out where that sentiment would sit. Let's go, I'm going to go nice and high with this one, so I'm going to pop a 1mm across there, and then I'm going to bring in this one as well. So a little bit of purple glue stick. I'm going to bring that one in. You could go, if you didn't like this insert, this sentiment, could go, and I might swap it out actually. This is what happens sometimes. So we've got our big book of festive ones. Hopefully they're still in stock. I don't think we want the black one. So I'm looking for a green one really. Green and gold. Warmest wishes to all the family. Happy Christmas to you. Or we could go brown because we've got the brown on him. Let's just take that off before that sticks. And then we can change our mind if we want to. Do not open. A holly jolly Christmas. Let me just go back this way. Warmest winter wishes. Maybe that one. Oh yeah, I prefer that one. I do prefer that one. So I will save that for another time. Sorry, you're going to see me pop more foam pads on. But let's just grab. I'm actually just going to go 2 on here, just 2mm. Change that up, and then we just need some gems, and we'll call it good and done. With these sort of sentiments, these sort of shape ones are going to be perfect for this if you're copying this layout. There we go. Warmest winter wishes. And then if I bring in my gems, and I'm going to go with the brown gems to sort of bring all this together. And I'm going to go with 1. Actually, let's turn that around. So the good thing about these is usually you can just really apply them. Craig's top tip is to pop a little bit of glue underneath them so they don't go for a little wander, which can happen in the post, to be fair, with these self-adhesive ones. I don't know if I want that size, do I want? Trying to make it look like a natural sort of spray. There we go. I'm happy with that. So bringing that brown in again. And that is going to be card number 2. So that is our little gift wallet. Pop our money in there. So that's card number 2. We'll bring back card number 1. So that glitter has fully dried now on there. So we've got that frosted look. Like I say, it would be beautiful emboss with that. We just bring those in. So similar sort of theme here. I used that blue cardstock, you know, I did the splatting on last time. Just a little bit of that parchment vellum. I've used an old Crafter's Companion Embossalicious. I mean, it's really old, like we're talking over 10 years, maybe even 15. Embossed it with some snowflakes, some little gems. Again, those shaped sentiments, some of those blue gems, and that's that one. And that's, again, using the insert from one of the packs. And this is from the Dewar design book. So there's that one. And then there's this one, again, on that landscape. This time I've used that, it's another paper pack, designer paper pack with the adorable scoreboard, no longer available. That's why I haven't done it on a video. But it's something snowflakes or something snowfall. The name's just gone out of my head. And I've used that with another insert from one of the blockbusters. This is from that Christmas Cuties pad. It's on the same page as the sort of shepherds. This is the bigger book of sentiments. Some gold gems there, clear gems there, and that's that one done. So those are the three now that I have done for her. But that's it for today. So let me pop this there. I will put those all up on Pinterest. I have been a bit slow doing it, and I do apologise. I've just been really into Christmas makes at the moment, so I have been busy doing a few other things. Not it's crafting, but not Christmas crafting, but not sort of card making or anything. But that's it, like I say, for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll have a great weekend, and I'll be back next time with the other card topper pad, which I believe is called Festive Florals. I think it's all flower related, so that's going to be very pretty, and probably doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas either, so that means we can mix it up with some of our other papers as well. But thanks for watching, take care of yourselves, and until next time, happy crafting, bye.